The reason you're afraid to ask her to be your girlfriend isn't because you don't know what to say. It's not because you haven't thought about the right words or imagined the perfect moment. It's because, deep down, you're afraid of changing something that already feels right. When a connection feels calm, easy, and quietly beautiful, the last thing you want to do is disturb it. You start to wonder if naming it might somehow take away its softness, or replace something natural with something heavier, more defined, more fragile. Hi, my name is Claire Bennet, and as always, I'm really glad you're here with me. Thank you for choosing to spend this quiet moment together. Today, I want to gently talk about something many men feel, but rarely say out loud. How do you ask a woman to be your girlfriend without making it feel awkward, forced, shy, or unnatural? How do you move a beautiful connection forward without breaking the very thing that makes it special? If you've been seeing a woman for a while now, and everything between you just seems to flow, then you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a kind of ease that doesn't need effort. You don't feel like you have to perform when you're around her. You're not constantly trying to impress her or say the perfect thing. Instead, you find yourself relaxing into the connection. The conversations feel natural, the silence feels comfortable, and somehow time seems to move differently when you're together. Slower, softer, more meaningful. You start to notice the small things. The way she looks at you when you're not paying attention. The way she remembers something you said days ago. The way she reaches out just to share a random thought or a tiny moment from her day. And somewhere along the way, without any big announcement, you realize that this is no longer something casual. This is something rare, something that matters. But then, almost inevitably, a thought begins to form. It's quiet at first, almost hesitant. Should I ask her to be my girlfriend? And just as quickly, another voice appears right behind it. What if I ruin this? What if things become weird? What if she doesn't feel the same way? What if everything changes after I say it? That hesitation is incredibly human. It doesn't mean you're weak or unsure of yourself. It simply means that you recognize the value of what you have, and you don't want to lose it. But that same hesitation, if it lingers too long, you can quietly keep a relationship in a place where it never fully grows. Nothing is wrong, but nothing is moving forward either. You find yourself in that in-between space where you are more than friends, but not quite a couple. You share time, energy, and emotions, but there's no clarity, no shared understanding of what this really is. Over time, that lack of clarity can create a kind of quiet tension. Not because something is broken, but because something important remains unspoken, and eventually, one of two things happens. Either the connection slowly fades, or it becomes something stronger. The difference often comes down to one simple moment, the moment someone chooses to speak honestly about what they feel. So before we talk about what to say or how to say it, I want you to take a moment and look inward. Ask yourself one honest question. Why do I want to ask her to be my girlfriend? Is it because I genuinely feel ready to build something deeper with her? Because I enjoy her presence, I value the connection, and I want more of it in a meaningful way? Or is it because I'm afraid? Afraid that she might lose interest, that she might meet someone else, or that if I don't lock this down now, I'll lose my chance? These two motivations may look similar on the surface, but they carry very different emotional energy. When you speak from fear, there is often a subtle tension in your voice, in your body, in the space between you. Even if your words are kind, the energy can feel a little tight, a little rushed, a little heavy. But when you speak from clarity, something shifts. There is calmness. There is warmth. There is a quiet confidence that doesn't need to push or convince. It simply expresses. And people, especially women, can feel that difference. At the same time, you don't have to navigate this blindly. You don't have to guess how she feels based only on hope or imagination. If you slow down and pay attention, the signs are often already there. Look at how she shows up in your life. Does she make time for you even when she's busy? Does she initiate conversations, not because she has to, but because she wants to? Does she share small, seemingly insignificant details about her day, her thoughts, her feelings? In psychology, these are often called bids for connection. They are small, everyday ways of saying, "I want you to be part of my world." When a woman consistently makes these bids, she is already leaning toward you emotionally. She is already creating space for you in her life. And when that space exists, asking her to be your girlfriend is not about forcing something new. It's about recognizing and naming something that is already quietly growing. When it comes to the actual moment, one of the most important things to remember is this: simplicity is powerful. You don't need a perfectly orchestrated scene. You don't need a long, carefully rehearsed speech. In fact, the more complicated you make it, the more it can feel unnatural. True confidence often shows itself in simplicity. You might say something like, "I've really enjoyed the time we've been spending together. I like you a lot, and I'd love for us to be exclusive. I want you to be my girlfriend." There is something very grounding about those words. They are clear, direct, and sincere. They don't try to impress. They don't try to persuade. They simply express what is already true for you. The environment matters as well, but not in the way many people think. You don't need a grand, dramatic setting. In fact, overly formal situations can sometimes create unnecessary pressure. Instead, choose a moment that already feels natural. A quiet walk after dinner. Sitting together in a comfortable silence. A relaxed conversation where both of you feel at ease. In these moments, your words don't feel like a sudden shift. They feel like a natural continuation of the connection you're already sharing. Another subtle but important shift is to speak from your own feelings rather than placing the responsibility on her to define everything. Questions like, "What are we?" or "Where is this going?" can feel heavy and uncertain. They ask her to carry the weight of defining the relationship, which can create pressure or hesitation. Instead, take ownership of your feelings. When you say, "I've realized that I really like you, and I don't want to see anyone else. I'd love to call you my girlfriend," you are offering clarity rather than asking for direction. After you say it, there will likely be a moment of silence. It might feel longer than it actually is. You might feel the urge to fill that space, to soften your words, or to take them back just a little. Try to resist that urge. That silence is not something to fear. It is simply a moment for her to process, to feel, and to respond honestly. When you allow that space to exist without rushing it, you show a kind of emotional steadiness that is deeply reassuring. And finally, perhaps the most important part of all of this is being prepared for any answer. Confidence is not about controlling the outcome. It's about being grounded regardless of what happens. You can hope for a yes, of course, but you don't need a yes in order to be okay. If she says yes, that's a beautiful beginning. If she needs time, respect that. If she's unsure, remain calm and understanding. You might say, "I understand. I just wanted you to know how I feel." That kind of response shows that your feelings are genuine, not transactional. It shows that you are offering something real without demanding something in return. And that kind of emotional stability is often what creates the sense of safety that allows a relationship to grow over time. At the end of the day, asking a woman to be your girlfriend is not about securing something before it slips away. It's not about control, and it's not about pressure. It's about recognition. It's about looking at what you've built together and saying, "This matters to me, you matter to me, and I want to move forward with intention." She may not remember your exact words. She may not recall every detail of the moment, but she will remember how she felt. She will remember whether it felt safe, whether it felt sincere, whether it felt like something she could trust. And if you can create that feeling, then you've already done something meaningful. So don't wait endlessly for a perfect moment that may never come. Pay attention to the real moments that are already unfolding between you, the quiet ones, the simple ones, the honest ones. Take a breath, stay grounded, and speak from a place that is clear and genuine. Because sometimes the most important shifts in life don't come from grand gestures. They come from small, honest moments where someone chooses to be seen. And if you've been standing at that edge, wondering whether to take that step, maybe this is your sign to move forward gently but confidently. Thank you for spending this time with me. I truly appreciate your presence here. If this conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever found yourself in that in-between space, unsure whether to speak or stay silent? Your stories matter, and they're always welcome here. Take care of your heart. Be honest with yourself, and be kind in the way you show up for the people you care about. Until next time, I wish you a gentle, peaceful, and beautiful day.